The world's largest social media platform has announced it's improving how it combats terrorists, violent extremist groups and hate organisations online. Users of Facebook in Australia who search for extreme sites will now be referred to a group called Exit Australia, a not-for-profit organisation founded by former extremists. Dr. Oboler is a senior lecturer in the La Trobe Law School, as well as the CEO of the Online Hate Prevention Institute, and he joins me now from Melbourne. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think of Facebook's approach?
Look, Exit, it's dealing with people that are deep into extremism and want to get out, want to leave, but need the support to do so. One of the problems with extremist groups is that they isolate people. They get them to cut their ties with friends, family, and their general support network. So what Exit's doing is trying to help the people get out. But that's really just a tiny, tiny part of the problem of countering hate speech and extremism. There's a lot more that needs to be done. The Australian government and Facebook and the other companies have actually committed to supporting civil society with this in the Christchurch call, but we're really yet to see the fruits of that commitment.
If we could just stick with this announcement for a little bit longer,
Yeah.
Is there any information available to you which might suggest how many people in Australia might be referred to Exit Australia?
Those ads are going to pop up quite a lot. A lot of them will be false positives. A lot of them will be people who are just searching for information. This is a strategy which has already been used on other platforms and even with Facebook, I'd say, in other countries. But most of those are not going to deliver results. The catch is the few people that it targets who are actually extremists, who are already, at the deep end. Those people, if it can direct at least, a couple of those to get help to get out, that can actually make us safer.
And do you think former extremists, such as the ones behind this group, are the right people to be speaking to in the first instance?
Look, this is a model which has been used around the world with a range of different organisations. And the people who have got out of extremism themselves, they do have the experience. They're not necessarily trained as counsellors or trained, with all of the advice that someone might need. But as long as they can direct people to that other support, and as long as they can be a trusted voice that someone feels safe to go to, then that is a good entry point.
And are you aware if this group has already contributed to de-radicalising anyone?
Yeah, look, there are, according to their own website, in the last few years that they've been running, there are a number of incidents that they say they've stopped, and there's certainly a number of people that they've helped. So it is making a difference, but we're really talking small numbers. And the investment that needs to go in time, money, etc., to help people when they're at that extreme end, when they're already deeply involved in extremism and trying to get out, that is a very expensive place to start dealing with the problem. It's certainly part of the response, but it can't be all of it.
You mentioned Facebook could do more. What else do you think it should be doing?
Look, some of it is what's in the Christchurch call to help civil society organisations. Again, I run the Online Hate Prevention Institute. We're not receiving even free advertising from Facebook. Paying Facebook for us to do our work is one of our largest expenses. But more than that, there's work Facebook can do on its own platform, changes to the code, changes to the way it works, to try and reduce this problem. So one example which we've suggested to Facebook before is that some of the incitement to violence occurs not on isolated pages, but on mainstream pages or pages of, for example, politicians. And what we see is in the comments section, that's where some of the worst content is. Now, at the moment, any member of the public that reports that content, the content goes to Facebook, and Facebook responds to it when it gets to it. If that content could also be reported to the people running the page, whether that's a politician, a mainstream media organisation, or anyone else with the responsibility for moderating a page, they have the tools to respond. And if Facebook just lets them know that you're getting complaints about this comment, gives them a list how many people are complaining, and lets them respond, we could start seeing more people involved in actually removing that content more quickly. it would also be possible to start putting in additional tools. So, for example, if there was a comment calling for people to be killed on a news story on a mainstream media site, there could be, for example, a button that allows the people that are already being paid by the media organisations to monitor that content to just refer that to the police. And if we can do that, then we can speed up the entire process and hopefully deal with things before an incident occurs.
Andre Oboler, really interesting to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you.